This is Rock 10. Today, I'm going to be putting to bed this entire notion that Baby Yoda is a Gary Stew. Cheers. So, in typical fashion, the SJW crowd has attacked fandom for embracing Baby Yoda, and one of the main reasons for this is they're trying to say that Baby Yoda is a Gary Stew, aka Mary Sue, like Rey. So they're suggesting that the fandom menace, by and large, is totally cool with Baby Yoda being a Gary Stew, while they have emphatically attacked the fact that Rey is a Mary Sue. And I'm going to completely tear that entire argument apart in this video. So let's get started. So we've got Baby Yoda and Rey, and I'm just like, what? There's something different about these two. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I know there's something very distinctively different between. Oh, right. Rey is a human being, and Baby Yoda is, well, Yoda species. Lucas intentionally and specifically kept Yoda species a mystery. I mean, as far as I know, anything you look up or try to find out about this species, all it's going to say is unknown. So the best we can do, it's Yoda species. That's all we have. But, this is a slight variation here. There's this little difference between being a human being and being a Yoda species. I mean, that's just for a start. Let's continue. In Empire Strikes Back, we have this incredible sequence where Luke is training with Yoda. There's considerable amount of time devoted to it, and it is completely understood that Luke, it's been an arduous, difficult time for him. This has been a strenuous period of training for Luke that he has gone through. And the end result of that training is Yoda asking him to lift his X-Wing out of this bog. And he fails. He is unable to do it because Luke is still holding to these concepts of size and weight. He hasn't been able to grasp this philosophical idea that it's all relative. If Yoda had asked him to lift a pebble off the ground, he would have probably been very capable of doing so, because it's a mental state of mind. And at this point in his training, he wasn't able to see beyond those things. And this is what, Yoda's pushing him to get there. But he's not there yet. Even after this lengthy period of difficult training, he is unable to break down those barriers in his mind. And he feels the need to go, even though he's not ready. He has to go and try and deal with what is happening. In contrast to this, we have Reys Training via Roundhead Ryan Johnson in his embarrassing film, The Last Jedi. Complete humiliation of everything Star Wars, especially Luke. And what is her training reduced to? Basically a moment of slapstick comedy. That's what we get. And that kind of sums up The Last Jedi. It's a slapstick comedy. That's his big contribution to Star Wars is, hey, let's take all of this mythology, all of this lore, all of these components and characters that people are emotionally connected to, and let's reduce them to an episode of The Three Stooges. I mean, this is what we got. And what does this moment of slapstick comedy training lead to? Well, it leads, of course, to Rey being able to effortlessly lift dozens of gigantic boulders when she needs to. And this is the difference. This is like why people categorize Rey as a Mary. It's just complete and utter nonsense. She doesn't have these struggles. She doesn't have to go through the arduous training. She doesn't have to conquer these ideological concepts in her mind to get to a place where she can achieve these great things. She's just able to do them. And I don't really give a damn that, Jar Jar Abrams might, explain why she's able to do this in Rise of Skywalker. It doesn't matter. It's not engaging. Her character is not engaging. She's been a complete Mary Sue. The fact that even the director of this next film is admitting that he's going to drop an explanation for why she's so instantly powerful and great at everything. That's an admission that she's a Mary Sue, outright. It's so obvious. So, what is the conclusion here? Baby Yoda, first of all, Baby Yoda is 50 years old. In The Force Awakens, Rey is introduced as a 19-year-old woman. So Baby Yoda has 31 years on this person already. That's, just for starters. Imagine the difference between a 19-year-old and a 50-year-old in human terms. If you're talking about mastering an ability, there is no comparison. A 50-year-old who has spent that 30 years mastering something, there's not going to be any comparison between the 19-year-old. That's just reality. Baby Yoda is a completely different species. All we know is that Yoda is the most badass Jedi Master in the Star Wars mythology. Do we know what he had to go through to get there? This is new. They're laying new ground here with the mythology. They are giving us insight into something new with the Yoda species. The thing with creating a cinematic mythology, you can do anything you want, but once something has been established, once it's been made canon, then you have to follow your own rules. And when it comes to being a human being who can use the Force, it has already been established that there is considerable training that is connected and associated with that, with mastering it as a human being. This is completely well established. Rey is a human being. She must go through the same arduous training and difficulties and overcoming her mental blocks and challenges like any other human being. And whatever explanation, it doesn't matter. It just weakens her character, makes it less interesting. When it comes to Baby Yoda, we don't know what that looks like. We don't know what this species process is when it comes to using the Force. They are showing us, they are laying down this new mythology right now with The Mandalorian. It hasn't broken any rules. It hasn't broken away from anything. So is Baby Yoda a Gary Stu? Of course not. Of course not. The argument is so absurd. It's just typical SJW grandstanding, trying to sabotage fans' enjoyment of something that is actually credible, that is actually good. It's trying to make that into a negative and use it and leverage it to win their tired, pathetic arguments. And it's just nonsense. I have spoken.